Okay, I think we can make a start. It's 4:30. I hope everybody can hear me okay. My name, as the slide says, my name is Steve Robinson, and welcome to this virtual open day for the University of Kent, and in particular, Kent Business School. Happy New Year to everybody out there listening. We've got quite a few people tuning in to this webinar, so that's fantastic. Today, I'm wearing two hats in front of you, metaphorically speaking, because I am both the head of undergraduate recruitment and admissions, so I can answer your questions regarding UCAS, the admissions process, our programs, etc. And I'm also a senior lecturer in business, and I teach across a range of undergraduate programs in the business school, so I can also answer your academic related questions as well. The plan of action today is to have a little presentation from me. I've got some slides for you. You can see the first slide here, obviously. I've got some slides for you to give you an overview of Kent Business School. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the university, a little bit about the business school, and a little bit about each of our programs. I haven't, alas, got time to tell you about all of our programs in detail in this particular presentation. But afterwards, we are going to have a panel of four of us, myself, my academic colleague, Dr. Zita Stone, who's the Associate Dean, and we have two real-life students, Kate and Stephen, joining us. So after my presentation, which I'll start in a moment, in about 15 minutes time, we'll have a Q&A panel. If you've got any questions, then click on the Q&A button, put in your questions, and they'll be put to myself, my colleague Zita, and the students at the end. At any time, obviously, you can leave the presentation or come back into the presentation, but hopefully you'll stick around. If you want more information about Kent Business School and the University of Kent, then the Kent Open Day webpage has a number of different virtual tools you can go on, as well as more detailed presentations about each of our programs, where you can get more information, as well as our webpage. There's also going to be a live chat available, so I'm sticking around till 7 o'clock tonight. Oh my goodness. So I'm sticking around till 7 on the live chat. So anything else afterwards you want to ask us about, myself and other academic colleagues and students will be around for them. First of all, I normally on these sort of sessions, when they're live face-to-face sessions, say well done. It's very, very important to do your research when you're going to university. You know, it's a large investment, £9,250 every year, plus all your maintenance, etc. So normally I say well done to students for visiting us, but today, well done for logging in. It's a shame you can't be at one of our campuses. Both of our campuses are absolutely fantastic, superb facilities. Students love it on our campuses, so it's a real shame you can't be here physically, but it's very, very important you do your research. It's a big investment, so it's important to attend these sort of virtual open days. Okay, moving on then into my presentation. A little bit about Kent Business School. Well, first of all, University of Kent, if you don't know, University of Kent has around 20,000 students. It's a reasonably large university, not as big as some of the big metropolitan universities, but fairly big, so around 20,000 students. And the business school, Kent Business School, is the biggest school within the actual university and the best, I would argue, obviously. We have around 2,000 students, roughly 2,000 students. So we're about 10% of the size of the university. And those 2,000 students are roughly around 1,500, 1,600 undergraduates, and a further 300 to 400 postgraduates, master's students, PhD students. Each year I recruit, the marketing team recruit around 600 undergraduates every year. That's typically 400 coming to our Canterbury campus and our Canterbury programs, and a further 200 at our Medway campus. More about that in a moment. So, okay, two campuses. Our big Parkland campus here in Canterbury is a huge campus just outside Canterbury on the hill. You can walk into Canterbury if you like, or there's buses that go around all time. Fantastic campus, more about this later. You can do the virtual tour online. The business school is based on the left there, in the left part of the slide, in what is known as the Simpson building. This is a state-of-the-art building, opened 2 years ago, very, very recently. Fantastic building, academic offices there, lecture theatres, seminar rooms, Bloomberg suite there, etc. So that's our Canterbury campus. We have some of our programs in the business school on our Canterbury campus, and we have some more in the Medway campus. The Medway campus is a fantastic historic campus in the historic dockyard in Chatham. There's a little diagram, a little photograph rather, of the historic dockyard. It's a fabulous campus because it's a mix of old and new, some brand new state-of-the-art buildings, Bloomberg suites, etc., as well as some converted historic Georgian buildings as well. So fantastic campus, just as I said, in the historic dockyard in Chatham. Now, Kent Business School has programs at both of those campuses. Now, depending which program you study, then clearly you'll be based either in Canterbury or Medway. Now, the first thing to think about, if you want to do a business related degree, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, do you want to do a general business degree? These are very popular, things like management, business and management, or do you want to do a more specialized degree? If you like, specialize straight off the bat in something like accounting and finance, or marketing maybe, or finance and investment. So the first question you should always ask yourself, do you want to do a general business degree? Very popular. All elements of business are usually touched upon, some in more depth than others. Or would you rather do a more specialized degree straight off the bat? It sort of swings and roundabouts. It depends on yourself. On our Canterbury campus, here you go, just pull myself in a little bit there. On our Canterbury campus, we have 4 undergraduate programs. I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of these. All of our programs have a mixture of core subjects, compulsory, if you prefer that word, core subjects, and options. We tend to push the core subjects into the first couple of years, and you tend to have a lot more options towards the end of your second year, and in particular in your third year. So all the degrees are a mixture of core, compulsory subjects and options, and full details are on our webpage, or you can look at one of the presentations. They are assessed by a mixture of coursework and exams. The coursework is typically either 30 to 40% is typically the coursework. It does vary a little bit from degree to degree. So 30 to 40% coursework. Coursework are things like, you can guess it, essays, report writing, presentations, perhaps doing a research article, praising a research article, all sorts of things like that are typical coursework. And exams are exams. You all know what exams are, obviously. So exams come at the end of the academic year, usually after Easter, around May sort of time. So that's the style of assessment, and each degree is a mixture of core subjects and options. Now, a little bit about each of our programs. Accounting and Finance program is a very popular program here on our Canterbury campus. We have about 150 students do accounting and finance every year. It's very popular for students who want to go on in their careers, perhaps to become a professional accountant or work in finance, financial services, those sort of areas. It's accredited by all the major accountancy bodies, more about that in a minute, but ACCA, CIMA, ICAEW, SIPFA. What does that mean? It means you're further up the career ladder if you want to become an accountant once you have your degree. It usually truncates the amount of time by at least a couple of years, depending how hard you work. So many of our accounting and finance students have aspirations to go on to that. And so you have further up the ladder with a number of exemptions. You can see the exemptions on our webpage. If you look up accounting and finance, you scroll down, you can see all the exemptions you get by doing that degree. Typically, accounting and finance covers the key accounting subjects. You look at things like management accounting, financial accounting. You obviously look at areas of quantitative techniques, economics, but also in your second half of your degree, you have a number of options whereby you can look at auditing, you can look at corporate finance, you can look at taxation, and other accounting clearly related options. The other 3 degrees at Canterbury, marketing, international business and management, These are all also very popular. Marketing degree, we have roughly about 80 students every year do this. Clearly, it's a very popular degree for students who see themselves going on and working perhaps in marketing, advertising, digital marketing, procurement, merchandising, all those sort of careers. But equally, you can go into all sorts of other careers as well. It's still a degree. The marketing degree has a general first year, which it shares with international business and management. So the three on the list there at the bottom, marketing, international business and management, have a general shared first year where they look at 8 subjects, 4 each term, that are shared between them. So you do a little bit of marketing, some management, some HRM, some quants, some business environment, which we feel is a firm basis for your first year. The beauty of that is if after the end of your first year, if you started on the management degree but wanted to transfer onto marketing or vice versa, that's possible. A few students do that. So our marketing degree, about 80 students every year, very popular degree. International business is a business related degree, clearly, but it has a real international flavor in the second and third year. You look at international business theory, you look at international business activity and strategy, you look at European business, you look at emerging markets, cross-cultural management, those sort of things in international business. And we have around 100 students every year on international business. Last but not least, management program. This is our general business program for students who want a general business degree that looks at all areas of business. So you're looking at areas of operations and strategy, HRM, enterprise. You are looking at elements of finance, accounting and finance, and it allows you to specialize in your last year in different pathways to do with HRM or business analytics. The management degree, each year we recruit around 90 to 100 students as well. So at Canterbury every year, we recruit around 400 students, roughly speaking. So those are our 4 main programs here at Canterbury. If you come and join us in 2021 this year, oh my goodness, cannot believe it's 2021, then when you graduate in 2024, cannot believe it, 2024 or possibly even 2025, if you do an extra year, then not only do you get a degree from Kent and you graduate from Canterbury Cathedral, the best place to graduate from in the whole of the UK, there you go, that's my opinion, but also you get these external accreditations. I already mentioned the ones for accounting and finance from ACCA certified, CIMA management, ICAEW chartered, and CIPFA, the public sector accountants. But the marketing degree is accredited by the prestigious Chartered Institute of Marketing, and the international business and management degrees, you see it there, are accredited by the Chartered Management Institute, as well as international business is accredited by the Institute of Export and International Trade. Now, potential students, this does not involve extra work. There's no extra work involved in these accreditations. So going forward, if you want to become a professional manager or a professional marketeer, you're further up the career ladder to get more and more qualifications, professional qualifications. So there's no extra work, and parents, if you're listening, there's no extra cost. This is all part of the degree program. So these external accreditations are, if you like, a bolt-on award, as well as the degree that you get from Kent Business School. Moving on our Medway campus, we now are offering 3 degree programs: business and management, finance and investment, and entrepreneurship and innovation. The business and management degree is our most popular and longest running degree on our Medway campus. We have about 130, 140 students do this every year. It's our general business degree based on our Medway campus. For those of you who are looking to a general degree that looks at all areas of business, as I mentioned before, it looks at areas of strategy, management, marketing, entrepreneurship, finance, etc. So it's a great degree for that, and it allows certain specialisms in your final year, depending on the options you wish to take. So it's a very popular degree, as I said, 130, 140 students every year. A more specialized degree, students perhaps who see their future working in financial services, banking, merchant banking, investment banking, insurance, these sort of areas, is finance and investment. This is a degree where we have about 30 to 40 students every year do this. It's a very specialized degree, and it looks at areas clearly of finance, investment, some broader areas of business as well. But you look at things like portfolio management, wealth management, corporate finance, investment analysis, fundamental techniques, those sort of things. So it's very, very interesting for students that perhaps see themselves in that sort of area in the future, their career working in financial services. Last but not least, up at Medway is a brand new program for this year, is Entrepreneurship and Innovation. This is a new program we've launched for 2021, this coming September. We hope to have between 20 to 40, this sort of area of new students doing this. It's clearly a degree for students who are very interested in business startups, SMEs, looking at aspects of entrepreneurship, coming up with new ideas, innovation, strategic innovation, operational innovation, looking at different types of entrepreneurship, born global firms, this sort of stuff. So entrepreneurship innovation, brand new degree. Go and look it up on our webpage. Go and listen to the presentation. This is being offered on our Medway campus. Just like our Canterbury programs, our two existing programs both have external accreditation. The Business and Management program has the CMI, the Chartered Management Institute accreditation, and the Finance and Investment is an affiliated degree to the CFA Institute, the prestigious CFA Institute. And going forward, we expect to get accreditation for our brand new program as well. Okay, I hope I'm not going too fast, but I've got a lot to get through, so let's move on. Okay, all of our degrees are 3 years in length, but you have an optional sandwich year. It's up to you whether you do this or not. You can apply for it or not. Basically, it turns your 3-year degree into a 4-year degree. What you can do, you can either do a work placement year, which means you go out and work in your 3rd year, 2 years at Kent, work for a year, then you come back for your final year. Lots of students do this. We have over 150 students, as the slide says, every year do a work placement year. The placements are are typically come through our contacts. Of the students out on the placements, about half to 2/3 get placements through our contacts. People like Disney and Hammersmith, people like BAE Systems, as it says there on the slide, Microsoft in Reading, Goldman Sachs in the city, Unilever. Students have gone to Hewlett-Packard, Pfizer's, all sorts of people like that in recent years. Some students find their own placements with our support, and we help you from the 1st year onwards to find these sort of placements. So it will be 2 years here, 2 years, excuse me, at Kent University. Then you do a work placement year where you earn money, depending where you are, how much you earn. Then you come back for your final year. It makes you loads more marketable. In recent years, my tutees have gone on to work for Pfizer's, Oracle, Hewlett-Packard, I mentioned before, Microsoft. One of the students at Microsoft now, one of the people at Microsoft now is one of my ex-students. EA Sports in Old Street in London. It's in the game. You may have heard that expression. You can also do what is known as a selfie. Look at the bottom of the slide there, the selfie work placement, self-employed placement year, where students can set up their own business as part of their placement year, often with the help of the Business Startup Program. More about that. If you're not sure, I always advise you to apply for the year in industry. If you're not sure, thinking about it, apply for it. You get included in all the talks, you get included in all the workshops, and it's easy to opt out. We do not force you to do it. We're not going to get a garden, full pitchfork or whatever and force you to do it. If you don't want to do the placement, you just roll into your final year. You have lost nothing. So if you're not sure, apply for the degree with the placement. Yeah. It's much easier to opt out. It's much more tricky if you haven't done the right employability modules to actually opt in. So if you're not sure, apply for that. The other thing you can do, if you'd rather not do a work placement year, is a year abroad option. That's 2 years at University of Kent. Then you go to one of our partner universities. You can look these up. There's the link there, but go to where it says on the link there, Go Abroad. Go to the University of Kent website and search Go Abroad, and it lists all our partners for the different degrees we have. We have over a dozen partners in University of Kent across Europe, in Kent Business School across Europe. We have in France, Italy, Spain, Germany, Sweden, University of Stockholm. Around the world, we have partners in Hong Kong, University of Hong Kong, City University, Hong Kong Baptist University, Renmin University in Beijing, University of Sydney, Chile, all sorts, where you go 2 years at Kent, a year at our partner university doing your year abroad. We organise all that, and then you come back. You may have seen in the news, because we've now left the EU, the Erasmus system, the Erasmus funding is being removed. We are hoping going forward, our partners remain, it all depends on the funding, but going forward, we would hope that the newly mooted Turing Foundation will replace this. But watch this space on that one. But we are still recruiting to this programme, and we still hope each year to have this year abroad option in place. Another thing, about 20%, roughly about 20% of our students do a joint honours programme. These are not easier or harder than single honours. About 80% do single honours, international business, marketing, management, whatever. But you can do joint honours. It's the same cake, but it's the cake cut in half. So you're doing 2 subjects as part of your degree. You still do 120 credits every year. It's not easier, it's not harder, it's just different. So there's a little list there of the ones that you can do with Kent Business School. You can do management and computing, management and economics, you get the idea. You can do management and a language, that's quite popular, management and law, management and philosophy, or you can do accounting and finance and economics, law and maths. These are the only ones we'll offer. It's not like a la carte, you can't pick a mix where you want. Some unis allow that. I'm not a fan of that, but you at University of Kent, Kent Business School, these are the ones you can choose. As I said, it's there are benefits and drawbacks, excuse me, but about 20% of our students do a joint honours. What's popular? Management and economics is popular, management and law is popular, management and language is popular, frankly. Excuse me. Accounting and finance and economics is also very popular. A big thing that we focus on here at Kent Business School is our employability. You have this thing called the backpack to briefcase, the little logo at the top there. But from the first year onwards, we're not only embedding employability in your curriculum, so you have to do employability related modules to do with interview skills, CV writing, skills development, but also there's a number of workshops and another number of support areas that you can access as well. Probably our most famous and prestigious one is something called the Business Startup Journey. Every year students can go on this. It's extracurricular, it's free. Anybody thinking of starting their own business can go on the Business Startup Journey. It's a 15-week co-curricular program, starts in the autumn and runs through to late spring, and it's a step-by-step guide about how to start up your own business. It's within the Aspire space. You see a little photograph of it there. That's within the Simpson KBS building. Fantastic success stories here. We haven't got time to go into now. Have a look at our webpage. Lots of students have gone and started up their own businesses, having done the Business Startup Journey. A lot of success stories. Other students just like doing it for the experience, something to think about. It's free, extracurricular. How do you choose? Okay, you've got 5 choices. They've changed the deadline today if you haven't sussed this out. The UCAS deadline for equal consideration was the 15th of January. They've changed it now to the 29th. I wonder why. Could be because of COVID, possibly. How do you make your mind up? Do your research, and you've got to weigh up what's important to you. Look at the slide there, the student experience. What's important to you? I think it's a nebulous concept, I admit, but you've got to think about, number one, what course do you want to do? The program structure and content. So do your research there. Is it interesting? Is it up to date? Is it flexible? Look at the learning and teaching experience. What's the quality of teaching like? We have TEF Gold, which is the best. So do your research on the learning and teaching experience. Look at the physical resource, the quality of the campus, the resources, the buildings, and also look at the student support. Yeah, what sort of safety nets are in place? What sort of safety, not just safety nets rather, but what sort of student help and support is there? We are like a little village in many ways on both of our campuses, whereby there's all sorts of support on campus. In Canterbury, for example, you see there we have a medical centre, sick bay, pharmacy, doctors and nurses on campus. There's also an accommodation office on campus, English language support if English is your second language, counselling if you've got issues to do with whatever in your personal life. There's also study support. There's also a nursery if you've got kids or thinking of having kids, who knows? It is like a little village, and we pride ourselves, and we've won a number of awards on our student support facilities. So why come to Kent Business School? There's lots of reasons. I've tried to touch upon a few, but partly is our academic excellence. We have a number of very prestigious lecturers like myself, not necessarily me, but have won different teaching awards, research awards for many of our professors in the top 2 or 3% nationally. So there's that academic excellence and also the teaching awards. We are at the moment what is known as dual accredited. We are accredited by the AACSB, very prestigious, and also AMBER, and we are shortly, not too distant future, going for EQUIS accreditation, and we are reasonably confident we're going to get that as well, and so we will be a triple accredited business school, touch wood, by the time you would arrive. So not only that, we have the TEF Gold, that's the teaching award. We've got the apprenticeship accreditation, the very prestigious Small Business Charter, and I've already mentioned CIM, CMI, Bloomberg, and the Institute of Export. We have a number of corporate connections, guest speakers, we have workshops, speed interviewing, we have employability embedded into the curriculum, as well as sustainability and innovation across all our modules, or the majority of our modules. 2 fantastic campuses, a diverse student community, roughly about over a quarter of our students are non-UK, so between 25–30% are non-UK students. So it's a very cosmopolitan environment, basically partly because of our location near Europe. We are known as the UK's European University. I know. Anyway, there you go. What do our students do afterwards? There is not a typical graduate. Our students go into all sorts of things afterwards, all sorts of careers in the city, financial services, public and private sector. They go into sales, advertising, marketing, digital marketing, procurement, risk management, insurance, HRM. There is not a typical student. In recent years, my tutees have gone into all sorts of careers afterwards. What employers look for is excellence and experience, academic excellence and skills and experience. And that's what we'll develop with you when you're at Kent Business School. Your academic excellence, academic skills, but also we'll develop those other skills, the softer skills that employers look for, as well as hopefully enable you to go onto a work placement, and if not that, possibly some sort of internship to develop those in-house work-related skills. How can you check? Well, you can look up league tables. They are a rough guide. University of Kent goes up and down all the time. They are very, very sensitive. They are a rough guide, but they give you some sort of feedback. You can look at the league tables, Guardian, Times, Sunday Times, etc., etc. We do reasonably well, particularly for graduate prospects. We are typically in the top 10 or 20% for the graduate prospects, as it says there. So that's fairly good. You know, it's pretty good. We pride ourselves on that. But you know, you can do your own research, look at other universities, get feedback, attend other virtual open days. I'd recommend that. Obviously, I want you to compare and contrast, get a flavour of what it's like, what the teaching might be like where you're going. If you've got any questions, either come now on the Q&A for the panel in a second. My little presentation is now nearly finished, you'll be pleased to hear. So at the end of the presentation, we've got a little Q&A panel that will go on, see how that goes. You can also go on the live chat, the Kent Open Day webpage that you're on at the moment. You can go on the live chat, that stays open to 7 o'clock. You can look at, as I said earlier, the virtual tools, take a look at them. They're pretty good little short videos. You can also, what else can you do? You can also look at, you can look at the programs, watch a video about each of our programs, marketing, international business, etc., etc. Or failing all that, you can send me an email. There's my email address there, sarobinson@kent.ac.uk. So you can send me an email, and I'm pretty good at getting back if you've got anything you want to ask me. Our standard offer this year, our standard offer if you're taking A-levels or you were supposed to be taking A-levels, whatever you're doing now, our standard offer is BBB at A-levels. That's what we're looking at. A-levels, you've got to have English and maths, GCSE, obviously. So BBB at A-level. If you're taking the BTEC extended diploma, then we look for DDM. If you're doing a mixture, then we're looking around 120 UCAS points. The A-level results day is supposed to be Tuesday the 24th of August. We get your results before, but that's when I look at your personal statements. We look at your qualifications, and we tend to be very flexible with our tariff. Yeah, I would rather fill our places up with people that have put Kent first. So if you put Kent first and you'll just miss out on your offer, perhaps you get BBC or BCC, then we look at your personal statement, we take that on board, and we would rather fill our places up with students who are near misses, either on their BTEC or their LIBF qualifications or their A-level qualifications. We'd rather take the near misses than go into clearing, and we'll fill our places up that way. So most of the people that come to Kent Business School are people that have put Kent first on their UCAS form. You've got a bit longer to think about that if you haven't done it yet. I expect many of you have done it, but if you haven't done it yet, they've extended that deadline now to the 29th of January. We get your A-level results a week before. So if you're a near miss, I get to look at your application about a week before you get your results. And so that's when we can make that decision if you're a near miss or you've not quite got the grades we were looking for. Okay, I hope that was helpful. As ever, I always go on for too long, so apologies for that. I'm going to stop the share now. Let me do this. Stop the share. There you go. And you go back to my beautiful face. There you go on its own. I'm now joined, I hopefully am being joined by the rest of the panel. We've got Dr. Zita Stone. Hi, Zita. Would you like to briefly introduce yourself, Zita?
Yes, thank you very much. Hello, Steve, and hello, everybody. My name is Zita Stone, and I'm the Associate Dean of Graduate Studies at Kent Business School and Student Experience, and I'm a Senior Lecturer in Management.
Fantastic, thank you, Zita. We also have two real live students. We've got Kate from Canterbury. Hi, Kate, how are you doing? Can you introduce yourself briefly?
Hi, thank you, Steve. So my name is Kate, and I'm studying international business with a year in industry. And I'm currently taking my year in industry at the Kent Business School as a student experience assistant.
Right, that's great. I'm just turning my volume up, which is why I'm looking a bit dopey at the moment. There you go. Okay, and last but not least, another student with a fantastic name. We have Stephen as well. Stephen, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Stephen. I currently study business and management here at the University of Kent in the Medway campus. And just like Kate, I am also the student experience assistant, but for the Medway campus. Thanks, Stephen.
That's brilliant. We also have Rosie helping us with a little blank box there. Rosie is kindly monitoring the Q&As that have come through. So Rosie, I'm going to hand it over to you shortly. And Rosie is going to feed us the questions, and we will attempt to answer the questions in an honest and frank way over the next half an hour, 45 minutes. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what sort of questions you may have out there. Okay, Rosie, over to you. Have we had any questions?
Hi, Steve. Yes, we've got a number of questions to get through, so we'll try and get through as many as we can tonight. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. So the first question is really aimed at our students today. What is the placement year like?
Okay, so I guess I can start off. So the placement year is basically what you make it. It's dependent on so many factors, such as what company you do a placement with, where you do the placement, what position as well, because depending on the degree you have, you also available to many other positions in different companies. So I can't give a direct answer, but I can say at least my experience at KBS so far has been absolutely amazing. I've learned so much about myself and so much about what it's like to work in an office environment, because I've never done that before. So that at least I can tell you from my personal experience, but it is dependent on everybody.
Yeah.
Stephen, you add anything, mate?
Oh yeah, sorry. So for me, it's been quite different to what I'm used to, because me personally, I've just been in the section of just small part-time retail jobs. So getting to from experience sorry, from education, basically every single year, to just going straight into work 5 days a week. It's been quite different, but quite a good experience. So it would also quite help me to, from graduate roles onwards, to get a good experience for what that's going to be like after I graduate.
Yeah, I think that's great. They're both great answers there. I think they hit the nail on the head. Kate was saying about it's what you make it. I really agree with that. I've been at University of Kent quite a while now. Some would say too long, and I've had a number of students over the years that have been on work placements, and most of them, well, there's always the odd exception. What can I say? But most of them have had fantastic times. They've got a lot out of it. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. There's a real variety of placements. I've had students work in HRM, finance, sales, marketing, all sorts. There is not a typical placement. It's often all different types of placements. And importantly, I didn't mention this earlier, but many of our students get offered full-time employment on their placement after they graduate. So there's not, anecdotally, it's above 50% of our students get offered a full-time job. And many of my ex-tutees have gone on and now currently work for, as I mentioned in my presentation, Oracle, Pfizer's, Hewlett Packard, Microsoft, EA Sports, Bank of America. I'm not going to bore you any longer, but you get the flavour of what I'm talking about. Zita, would you like to add anything?
No, perhaps just you mentioned those that mostly get the experience. I have some stage 3 students, our finalists, who said it wasn't the placement that I still enjoyed it, but it was really different from what I expected. So at least now I know what I don't want to do. So they had an idea about a job, and now they say, actually, I now understand it, and therefore it has helped me to direct my career after my degree.
Good point. Yeah, I agree. Okay, that's fantastic. Rosie, let's move on.
Absolutely. So we've got another question. What sort of academic support can I expect?
Oh, Zita, that's right up your street.
Okay, what a good question, and I suppose needed now more than ever in these challenging times, because the delivery and how we operate is changing, and it's changing for us as academics and for you as students. So the type of support you will receive is both academic, which will be there in terms of the module conveners. Those are the leads for the subjects that you will take, and they work with a teaching team, the seminar leaders. But then in addition to this, you are allocated an academic advisor, and that academic is a member of academic staff who may be teaching in the term, in the year, or even later in stages 2 and 3. So you may come across them in a teaching capacity later on, but they are there to be your advisor in terms of any questions that are not specific to a particular module, in terms of giving you overall advice. If there is a problem with a specific assessment, for example, in essays, you just cannot get the mark above a certain point, so they can help you, guide you to other additional university resources. They can help you sort of direct your progress. You can look at your overall profile. If you have any issues with attendance, that they can be that bridge towards the pastoral support or the student support team, who are there to advise you. That is a specific team within KBS who will advise you in case there are any issues where you can't meet a deadline, where you feel that you need an extension. If there are any issues due to health, for example. So that is a specific team within professional services. Then you have a dedicated team within employability. So for example, we are not relying just on the university careers team, but we have our own in-house employability and placements team. So they are there just to support you in terms of your either placements or internships, or even after you graduate. graduate. So we are still in touch with our students 3 years after they graduate. There is support dedicated in terms of year abroad. Then there is university support in terms of your academic skills. So whether you need to improve your essay writing, report writing, how to work with Excel and make sure that your data is presented in your reports well, there is support and training for all of that, including library team support. But on top of all of that, we also have student support. So what we run is a student mentoring team. It's the academic peer mentoring system where you, if you feel that that is the support, you can be buddied with a older student, stage 2 or stage 3, who can be there to guide you, explain things. They may have been through the same process, the same module. So again, it might be sometimes easier to speak to a student than just to academics or member of staff. So the support is there from academic, professional services teams within KBS across the university and also students themselves.
That's a good answer there. Very comprehensive answer, Zita. So lots of support. For example, I'll give you an example. I have about 20 tutees. I shouldn't call them tutees, they're advisees, but I still call them old school tutees. And we're in fairly regular contact. And they can come to my office. I have 2 hours a week of office hours, which used to be face-to-face, and now it's online. And students can ask me questions. Some students hardly ever drop in, hardly ever, they're fine. Whereas other students I seem to see more often than my wife. So there you go. Some students need more support than others. So it's a real mixture, frankly. So we also take attendance, as Zita importantly said. And so we do have that safety net of seeing who's attending, and so we can chase that up as well. So a lot of support there. I don't know if Kate or Stephen want to add anything. No, they're shaking their heads. They no. Let's move on. I'm aware we have loads of questions, so let's move on, Rosie.
Okay, the next question is, what are the campus facilities like at Canterbury and Medway?
Right, well, let's say, Kate, you tell us about Canterbury.
So Canterbury is the main campus for the University of Kent. So there are lots of facilities across board because there are many other degree programs. But for SIPSN itself, I believe Steve in his presentation gave like a good description of what the SIPSN building, which is the main business school, facilities offer in terms of the lecture rooms and the seminar rooms. But in addition to that, they've also got the Templeman Library, which is a huge library filled with so many resources, both in terms of books, in terms of online resources, and in terms of like actual human beings helping you to reference and do other sort of university academic things. They've got the sports facilities as well. They've also got food facilities, there's accommodation. It's generally anything you'll find in a typical university is what is available at the Canterbury campus. It is quite big, so a lot of people do talk about the walking distance, but you get used to it.
There's e-scooters now, Kate. Have you not tried one?
Yes, yeah, actually they do. Yeah, they do have scooters, but I don't know if they're finished with the trials yet. I'm not sure if, but I see that a lot recently, and it's very popular, and it's actually really easy to use and go around campus. So yeah, that's basically Canterbury as a whole.
Kate, can I interject here? Did you live on campus in your first year?
Yes, I did. I lived on campus in my first and my second year, actually. So in terms of the accommodation, it's obviously very different, because they're different prices and they all offer different things. But I lived in Darwin, which is one on the cheaper end of the scale in my first year, and then I lived in Tyler Court, which was on the more expensive end. Both of them, in my opinion, offered the same experience. I met different people, I made amazing friends in both years. In terms of the facilities of the accommodation, it's all very usable, very lovely, actually, if I may add. And they actually are recently, I believe, refurbishing the Darwin accommodation, which is on the cheaper end of the scale. So it's not necessarily an olden day building. It's something that they're remodeling and they're working towards improving as well. There are other accommodations, though. I believe people normally say touring flats are the best, but it is of course on the more expensive side, but it is worth it. At least that's what I hear my friends say. But there's lots of different accommodations which offer different bundles, and at the end of the day you'll always meet somebody. That I think that's one of my biggest that's the best thing for me in terms of living on campus, is that you'll always meet somebody who's willing to help you. You always make a friend, whether they're in your course or not, and it's really great to socialize and just help you with your mental well-being, especially during this period.
That's a very good point, Kate. Thanks for that. Stephen, can you tell us a little bit about the Medway campus and the facilities, and whether or not you lived in Liberty or not?
Yeah, so to start with, I'll go with the accommodation. I lived in Liberty Keys the first year. I surprisingly got a studio for my first year, which may not be something that anyone would ever do, but I just didn't want anyone to really steal my food. So that's my main reason. But yeah, so that was a very different experience to what a lot of my friends did, because they all just had 5 people or 6 or 7 or 8 people in a accommodation, and then they all made friends. Fortunately for me, we somehow all mingled together and made friends from various different activities that happened. And also with the Liberty Keys accommodation, it was basically everything that you'd find there. So a pool table, table tennis table, courtyard, etc., and stuff like that. So with the facilities of the Medway campus, there's many different things. We have the Drill Hall Library, which I believe is the longest in Europe. I may got that wrong. We have the Deep End, which has various activities going on in each week. We have the Bloomberg Room in the what's it called? The Sale and Colourloft building, and a bunch of different computers that will always be available. So no matter whether you're in the library or if you're in the Sale and Colourloft building, there's always definitely guaranteed going to be a computer for you.
Yeah, the Deep End is like the student, what I would call from my student days, a student bar, but it's more than that,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's like the student hub.
Yeah. A lot of people tend to just go there, a lot of different activities happening, and you may even get people from different societies that would actually organize a sort of event going on there. So yeah.
Okay, that's great, fantastic. Okay, Rosie, let's move on.
Okay, we've got another question for the students. What has your favourite module been so far?
Okay, so my favorite module, so I do international business, but in first year, I believe, as Steve said, you kind of do a mix of different modules. Everybody kind of does the same module. And so my favorite module was Introduction to Management, which was done in first year. It was just simple to, it was easy to follow, it was very interesting, there was a lot of information, especially within the course and in terms of outside reading as well. That's one thing I really enjoyed, the fact that there was so much information outside what was in the module guide and what our lectures were giving us, that made it very entertaining. I also have to say that the lecturer as well played a big role in what made that module entertaining. He explained things very easily, gave us detailed guidelines, and in terms of the coursework we had to do, it was a bit challenging, but he explained it in such a way that it was easy to understand and you knew what you were getting yourself into, and you actually appreciated the challenge that you were being given, because you knew that when you were done with it, you would gain so much more in terms of knowledge and in terms of skills. So Introduction to Management in first year was definitely my favorite for me.
Stephen, about yourself?
I'd say for me, it's joint 3. So there's principles of marketing, or marketing principles. There was retail sales management and enterprise and entrepreneurship. So I think each of them basically had a really good aspect from that module in their own different way. So to start with marketing principles, I think me personally, I'm a lot more of a marketing person out of all the sections of business. So I naturally just enjoyed that one a lot more. With the what's it called, enterprise and entrepreneurship module, it's something that I've basically never done before. So literally drafting up something from an idea from the ground up, and then having that whole journey of building it up, and different sorts of research and analyzing and everything. It was like a really good experience. And retail sales, we was actually able to go on a really good trip to Bluewater and basically have the physical experience of doing research on different retail stores, and then having to present on the retail store that we actually done research on, which I believed was a really good experience.
This was last year pre-COVID, of course, though.
Yeah, definitely. All second year, and those two are all first and second year.
Yeah, we don't force the students out into a sort of environment. That's right. Okay,
Yeah.
cool, fantastic. Rosie.
Okay, we've got another question. For the entrepreneurship and innovation degree, is this just for those wanting to start their own business, or is this suitable for those wanting to work in the corporate world as well?
Zita, do you want to answer that, or I can go ahead?
Yeah, I can start. So no, indeed, it is for students who are looking to develop entrepreneurial skills, whether they are looking to go and set up their own businesses or indeed work for large corporates. We're hearing from employers that it is the entrepreneurial skills that they are looking for, and whether you end up managing a project for a large company or running your own company, the principles of entrepreneurship, understanding, innovation is for any size company that you end up working for or leading.
Yes, but I mean, I echo that. Like many degrees, it doesn't mean you've necessarily got to do that when you finish. The idea of entrepreneurship and innovation is to impart knowledge and skills within that key subject areas. Yes, many students that would do that degree may harbour ambitions to go on and start their own business, not necessarily straight away, but possibly in the future. But there's key modules they would take that are about business in general. So you need to know a little bit about finance and economics, obviously, in the broader business environment. But there are obviously more specialised modules on that degree that we've introduced to do with strategic entrepreneurship and innovation, areas to do looking at different types of innovation and entrepreneurship as well. As many of you will know, there are different types of businesses that start up. They're not all just corner shops, or they're not all just online retailers, what have you. So it looks at different aspects of business. So like all our degree programs, we like to impart knowledge and skills that can be used both specifically in a particular career area, be it marketing or accounting or what have you, finance and investment, but also they are transferable skills into a lot of different types of jobs, or even further study, in fact. That's a long answer for a short question, forgive me. Rosie, back to you.
Okay, we've got another question. Due to the current situation, is the majority of next year likely to be online learning at this stage?
That's a very good question. I'm just going to get my crystal ball out and I'll give you the answer. Okay. Well, I can tell you what it is at the moment. We have blended learning, like most, if not all, British universities at the moment have blended learning, which is a mixture of pre-recorded lectures. So I pre-record my lectures for my students into bite-sized chunks. We have real-time seminars, so I can actually see my students like this on Teams rather than Zoom, but it's very similar. Like this, we have different seminars in real time, and we also have been having face-to-face workshops as well. Those have been on a sort of a periodic basis, and so students would get per subject 3 face-to-face workshops if they can attend, if they're not shielding or they're not in the country maybe. Clearly at the moment the face-to-face is going to have to stop in the foreseeable future until hopefully, I'm not sure when, we don't know when, but hopefully from mid-February onwards we'll better start with the face-to-face. Now that's what we're doing at the moment. Clearly, hopefully all of you out there in Zoom land who are listening to this webinar will come to us in September 2021, later this year. But obviously everything will be back to normal. I don't know. Yeah, I'm hoping everything will be back to normal. What my wish is that hopefully with the rollout of the vaccine and all this sort of stuff, that things will be getting back to some sort of closer to normal than they are at the moment. I suspect we've learned a lot through blended learning, and what we would hope to do is tease out the best bits of blended learning and put them back into our older model of teaching and learning. So we will probably go back to a mixture of what we used to do before and what we've learned through the blended learning as well, if that makes sense. Students do like to have face-to-face lectures, they like to have face-to-face seminars, but they also like the option to have them recorded and dip into them as well. So there's that sort of mix and match going forward. What's great about Teams and Zoom is it allows these sort of chat sessions and drop-in sessions, and a lot of my students like the fact that they can sort of connect up and we can have chats about topics informally, which in the past used to be very hard to timetable. But again, another long answer. We don't know what's going to happen. We would hope things go back to how they were in a traditional teaching year, but hopefully it will be even better than normal because we'd have learnt the skills and the benefits of the blended delivery. But watch this space. Rosie?
Great, thank you, Steve. Another question, are placements paid or solely just about having experience?
Well, it's about getting paid. Does University of Kent pay you, Kate?
Yes, they do.
They pay you, Stephen?
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you how much, but they pay you anyway.
Yeah.
Placements are paid. And then people always ask, well, how much do you get paid? Well, it depends, like everything in business. It depends on who the employer is, the industry, the location. So we have students on placement that may, I don't want to say figures really, but I will do. They may earn about 15K, something like this, up to the early 20s, 21, 22, 23,000. Most employers will pay a work placement student something similar to what they would pay a newly graduated student, that sort of area. But there's lots of variables there on your location, the industry, that sort of thing. I have had students in the past earning in excess of 25,000, but that's really rare. Don't write that down. Don't record that. That is really rare. So, but generally speaking, it's that sort of window. You can nod or not, Kate and Stephen. It's that window between about 15K and 21K. They're nodding. Okay, there you go. So they are paid. There is also, for those that are listening out there, there is a tuition fee for the work placement year. Okay, shock horror. It is not £9,250. It is 1,300. Kate, Steve, is that about right?
Yeah.
10%
So there is a tuition fee that you have to pay for the work placement year. It's not 9,250. It's I forget the exact sum, around £1,300 if I recall correctly. Okay, Rosie.
Okay, great, thank you. So we've got another question. What are the sport facilities like and what is on offer?
Are you big sporty at Canterbury, Kate?
No, no, I'm definitely not. I personally cannot answer this question to the best of my knowledge, but I am aware, at least from my friends, that they are relatively good, and I'm aware that there are some deals for students for the Canterbury gym, which are usually cheaper for the gyms that are in the area. At least that's what I know, but that's as far as I know.
Yeah, at Canterbury, there are fantastic sports facilities at Canterbury. We have 3 sports halls, a number of gyms, five-a-side, basketball, etc. There's outdoor playing surfaces. There's an outdoor, what's it called, pavilion. There's 4G pitches, hockey clubs, football clubs, rugby clubs. You can join different clubs. You can also do, we have different different, what they called, Zita, faculties, Keynes, Rutherford, and yeah, what's that called? Steve, Kate, which one are you in? You in like you're in the Medway one, presumably, Stephen, and Kate, are you in Keynes, Rutherford?
I currently don't live on campus right now.
No, not in terms of living, but in terms of sports or other types of competitive pastimes?
Oh yeah, that does depend though on where you stay in terms of accommodation. So they're grouped into Darwin, Rutherford, I believe
Elliot
colleges.
Yeah, the point I was making clearly, the point I was making is that you can do there's sports teams, and if you're very good, clearly you get into the university team, whether it's football, basketball, futsal, cricket, whatever. But there are also other competitions between the different, Elliot and Darwin, or play five-a-side, or Rutherford and Keynes, or play basketball. Do you get the idea of the point I'm making? Yeah. Or chess is the big thing at the moment with the Queen's Gambit. Everyone's starting to play chess all of a sudden. But anyway, But the sports facilities at Canterbury are very, very, very good. I appreciate the Medway campus is a more urban campus. Stephen, do you play sports up at Medway?
I personally don't, but I do know quite a few of my friends that are on the main basketball team, and I've gone to see them play quite a few times, which is good.
Did you see them locally, or did you go to Canterbury to watch them?
Oh no, it was done in Medway, so every time they're at home. So they usually tend to tour across different universities, play different people and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm aware at Medway they do rowing and they have the gym now, and there are more facilities there as well. That's a very good point I should raise, that there is a bus service between the two campuses. I don't know, Steve, have you ever got the bus between the two?
Yeah, a lot of times. So back when clubs were a thing, I tend to what's it called? Get the shuttle bus from either from Liberty Keys when I was living there, and then I take it straight there, go to a club, and then either stay at my friend's house for a day, or someone will drive us back home or something like that, which is good and convenient.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a shuttle bus between the two. It's not just for the clubbers like Stephen. It's also for, you know, proper academic study. You can go between the two campuses and do sports, go clubbing, whatever. In fact, we do have, rarely, but we do have sometimes students that live in Medway study in Canterbury and vice versa. That is rare, but not unheard of. Kate, have you had the shuttle bus before have you gone to Medway campus?
Yeah, I've been to Medway, I think twice or 3 times. And yeah, it's a pretty simple process. You just have to show your ID card on the bus. It's absolutely free. Just show your Kent ID card. You're on the bus, 15 minutes, you're at Medway. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. So I can't lie, the sports facilities at Canterbury are better because it's a bigger Parkland campus. What can you say? Yeah. But at Medway, it is an urban campus, but for an urban campus, there's quite a lot there, I think, given the fact that it's in a built up area. It's pretty good. And obviously, Medway students are still part of the University of Kent. And if they want to try out for the university team, whether it's basketball, lacrosse, whatever it might be, they can get the shuttle down and do that. It's not a problem. Or if they've got friends, they can get a lift or what have you. And then they can go clubbing afterwards, as Stephen said. So that's fantastic.
Just to add there, Steve, that just like, you know, again, going back to the support, that the sports team have switched to online, and a lot of classes are being delivered for free to students. So a lot of Pilates, yoga, sort of personal coaching videos, just to make sure the students feel supported even when they can't be physically on campus currently.
All right, cool. I wasn't aware of that. I've checked that out. Rosie.
Okay, we've had another question. When living on campus, how safe do you feel as a student?
Kate is the obvious one to answer that. I think begin with.
Very safe, extremely safe. I've never felt in danger. I've never felt worried about my health or my safety. There's campus security on the campus, and they are available 24/7 for any issue you may have. Don't ever feel shy to contact them for anything. They even have I forgot what it's called, but essentially if you call them just to walk you across campus, let's say it's late in the night, you're coming from the library and you're a bit worried, they will literally walk you from the library to your accommodation and ensure that you're safe. I forgot the name of the service, but that's available. But there's never been any sort of danger. There's never been any sort of case I've heard of in terms of even with outsiders or even with students on campus as well.
The walking bus, isn't it, Katie?
Is that your walking bus? Yeah, okay, yeah, the walking bus. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously nowhere's 100% safe. Steve, what's your experience at Medway?
Well, from the only time I've been in council, that I can speak about with security is Liberty Keys. So they've always been around various hours whenever you need them and stuff like that. And it's basically on campus for the exact same sort of thing that Kate said. So whenever you need them, 24 hours, they are there to basically help you, walk you to your accommodation and stuff like that. From, what's it called? From the Medway campus's Sale and Colour Loft, there's 2 ends, so there's always security on both ends. So regardless of where you are, there's always someone there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I can't comment for the students, but clearly nowhere is 100% safe. But I think Canterbury as a city It's a fairly safe city, a student city, in terms of different league tables that are occasionally published from time to time that look at this sort of stuff. So I think we're quite lucky in that respect. But it's a good question because it is clearly a concern for many students and their parents. And I know University of Kent takes it very, very seriously, student safety and security, and has invested a lot of money on across both campuses, campus security. And there's posters up that both Stephen and Kate have probably seen around the campus that gives you those numbers and different things you can call if you've got an issue, etc. Okay, Rosie.
Okay, we've got another question for the students. How has your course developed your skills so far?
I think I'll start on this. So because my course specifically is quite broad, I think it's helped me quite a lot. So for example, enterprise and entrepreneurship has a lot of presentations and talking in front of people and stuff like that. That's helped me. Where something such as marketing principles has had teamwork, that's helped me to get in a group with a bunch of people I don't know and work quite well with them and get a good grade. And there's many different sort of aspects that each sort of module would give to help you work with your the next step that you'd like to go into.
Yeah, so for me, I would say time management, organization, and teamwork. Those are the three big things I can really take out from all the modules I've ever done. It also has to do with the entire student experience. When you come to university, you're not just here to do your modules. That is the key point, that is the main thing, but there's so many other things you get yourself involved with, and hopefully you'll get yourself involved with. And so all those things come together to build your skills up, which is why I would give these 3 points, because I was doing so many things in first year and in second year. It was really important for me to mold myself in terms of my time management and in terms of organizing myself and in terms of working with all the various teams that I was involved in.
Okay, cool. Rosie, should we move on? Yeah, more questions?
Yep, sounds good. So we've got another question. Do we have a mentorship program available at the university as a chance for students to meet older students?
Yeah, I think we've partly answered that. Just, do you want to echo the point you made earlier, Zita, about the mentorship?
Yes, so there is the academic peer mentoring scheme. This is where mentors from stage 2 or stage 3, which are the year 2 or year 3, they're going through training, and then in collaboration with the Kent Business School student support team, they are then being allocated to support students. So whether this is where a student may need a support with a quantitative module, then they would look to allocate a mentor, one of all the students who did particularly well in that module, or who are looking to do even a postgraduate study in this, so they have that support there. So there is always a matching process, and there is a training involved. So it's not random students, they go through a selection process in order to be mentors. And anyone can apply, so it doesn't have to be that only stage 1 students. We have some stage 2 students who are working with stage 3 students as well. So it's there throughout the journey.
Okay, thanks for that, Zita. Rosie.
The next question is, what is the social life like at university, and would you recommend living on campus even if you live just an hour away?
Good question. Kate, what's the social life, Kate?
Social life at Canterbury campus is amazing. It's always lively. I would say the liveliest day is Wednesday, however, that's when many societies get together and throw parties and have various events, not just on the campus itself, but in the Canterbury city. It is a tourist city, so it's always busy. There's always something to do, and there's always something available, from restaurants to clubs to even tourist sites if you want to explore the cathedral, if you're ever curious about something like that. And there's always an event going on. Pre-COVID, of course, there was always a face-to-face event going on that somebody could always attend. So it's quite lively, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. We got to add the pre-COVID suffix, obviously, people. So we'll see what happens going forward. Stephen, what's your social life been like at the Medway campus?
Well, it's been quite lively. So we started with a WhatsApp group chat where we just added a bunch of people that were from the Medway campus, regardless of Uni of Kent or the other 2 universities that are also attending the Medway sort of campus. Then everyone sort of basically made friends from there. And we've all been basically, because we all lived in Liberty Keys, everyone was able to just contact each other, make friends and organize different gatherings, again, pre-COVID. And also there was the, what's it called? The Deep End, which also has quite a lot of events going on, where even first year students could just sort of get an event going and run something. So for example, one of my friends had the dancing society, which they sort of carried on, and that's where I sort of basically met quite a few people from there, which have, yeah.
Have you found with COVID, Kate and Stephen, have you found that having those social network groups have helped you sort of manage with the COVID sort of lockdown situation and the blended learning?
Definitely, definitely. And they've been really adaptable as well. All the societies, even the Kent Dance societies, they have sort of fitness on Instagram Live. So you can join in with an instructor and then they kind of just take you through various dance moves and things like that. So they've been very adaptable with using technology, and it's been very helpful to have all these people to fall back on and to have all these people who are going through a similar experience and to have this conversation in an informal way.
About yourself, Stephen, are you keeping up sort of your social networks during COVID? Are these the same people that you were sort of physically seeing back in the day?
I think, well, yeah, but mine's been a bit more external from the uni, but I know that internally from the uni that on their main website or under events, there's quite a lot of events going on there. But for me and my friends personally, we just tended to have, well, sort of what we're doing right now. So something on Zoom where we'd all just talk and have discussions and stuff like that to all keep in contact.
Okay, that's interesting. That's great. Rosie?
Hey, Steve, I think we've got time for one more question just before we wind down the session. So the final question will be, is it easy to change degrees in your first year?
Oh, that's a good question. The answer to that is yes and no. What do I mean by that? Well, it depends on the nature of the question, really. But if students come and join Kent Business School and they join on a particular program, and after having been here a week or two, they feel that they'd rather be on a different program, we will try and accommodate that request. In other words, we try to be flexible. If there is room on another program, let's say, for example, they started on the marketing degree for argument's sake, and they wanted to join the international business degree, then if they've got the grades that are appropriate and we've got room on international business, it's not a problem. So within the first couple of weeks, sometimes the deck chairs do move around a little bit and we try to accommodate that. Unfortunately, sometimes we cannot do that because the programs are full up and oversubscribed. And so it is a question of how full the programs are. But each year, typically within the first, well, it's actually the first 3 weeks normally, because you have your induction week when you first join, which we call week 0. And then you have your first 2 weeks of term, weeks 1 and 2, obviously. Then if students come and see their program director or the director of education, or go and see the student support, then we can possibly be flexible and allow them to move if there's room available. So yes, but sometimes no, if a particular program is already full up. At the end of their first year, if students at Canterbury have done either international business management or the marketing degree, the stage 1, that means first year, the stage 1 is very, very similar for those 3 programs. And so at the end of the first year, if a student has had their first year modules and has started on management maybe, and suddenly thinks, well, actually, I've loved the marketing module, I want to do marketing going forward, then there is that aspect that we can typically allow them to transfer at the end of the first year. We cannot promise this 100% because there are certain limiting factors, but usually we can do that if they've met the criteria. Is that right, Zita? Yeah. So she's
Yes.
nodding sagely, yeah.
I
So
was
yeah,
just unmuting there. Yes, there is. Just that one element, of course, Steve, that if students apply for accounting, a finance, or rather the other way around, for a management degree, and then they want to move, for example, to accounting and finance, they would have to fulfill the admissions criteria and have the relevant requirements for the maths and the GCSE, which is slightly different. So we would always look at capacity, but firstly, whether the student actually fulfills the entry criteria.
Yeah, exactly that. So there are limiting factors, but by and large, we try and be flexible. You know, we try and be friendly and helpful by and large, and so we do allow it. After about the first 3 weeks, though, the plane has taken off. What I mean by that is that if you've, after the 3rd week, that's it. So if you're on business and management, you're on business and management then, or if you're on international business, you're on international business. Otherwise, bedlam would ensue, let me tell you. So you've got to have a cut-off point whereby there's no transfers beyond that point. But up to that point, we try and be flexible. So that's generally how it works. Another long answer, I'm afraid, Rosie.
No problem at all. I think that's all we've got in terms of questions, Steve, if you want to wind down the session.
Right, okay, well, yes. Well, first of all, thanks for everybody that's taken part on the panel. Dr. Stone, Kate and Stephen, thanks for your help. Thanks to everybody out there in Zoom land for attending this webinar. I hope it's been useful. If not, well, sorry about that, but hopefully it's been useful. There's still the University of Kent Open Day resources are available till 7 tonight. There's the different presentations you can go and look at, program specific presentations. So if you want to know more about international business, or you want to know more about business and management, etc., you can look at those. You can take a tour of our campuses. I think there's more information about accommodation. There's also more information on the Simpson building, etc., and importantly, we have the live chat is still going on, so you can ask even more questions on the live chat. And I'll be around, and other colleagues are going to be around till 7 o'clock. I'll try and get a cup of coffee in between, but we'll be around till 7 o'clock. So I want to say thanks, Zita. Thanks, Kate. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Rosie. And I think we're going to leave it there. Rosie, do you wrap it all up, I think?
Yeah, that's fine.
Goodbye, everybody, and see you in 2021. Well, it is 2021. See you in September.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.